National Guard hits the streets of LA. ICE raids trigger mass protests and violence. Governor slams federal troop deployment as illegal. Feds bypass state approval. What's really going on? Welcome to Preppers News. News and current events from a prepper's perspective. I'm Elijah, and I use a computer-generated voice because my own is hard to understand after an injury. In today's report, we're looking at a major escalation in Los Angeles. National Guard troops have been deployed under federal authority, without state approval, after ICE raids led to widespread protests and unrest. Governor Newsom and city leaders are furious, calling it an overreach, while the White House insists it's about protecting federal property. In this video, we'll break down what's happening, the legal framework being used, and what this kind of federal action means for preppers across the country. On June 6th, Immigration and Customs Enforcement launched aggressive workplace raids in Los Angeles, targeting distribution centers, garment factories, and multiple Home Depot locations. Protests erupted soon after. Demonstrators gathered downtown, in South LA, and around federal facilities. Some fires were set, windows smashed, highways blocked, and in Compton, 2 Waymo autonomous taxis were torched. By Sunday night, federal authorities reported over 100 arrests in LA, with more than 2,000 people detained nationwide. In response, President Trump federalized the California National Guard under Title X authority. Approximately 300 troops were immediately deployed to guard federal buildings in hotspots like downtown, Paramount, and Compton. However, the White House ordered up to 2,000 guardsmen be made available, pending escalating violence. Governor Gavin Newsom condemned the move as purposefully inflammatory and said California didn't request help. LA Mayor Karen Bass called it an unnecessary escalation. Civil rights groups are preparing legal challenges. This isn't just another protest story. For preppers, this event raises serious questions about federal power, local control, and how quickly things can spiral. First, the president deployed troops without the governor's approval. That's a rare move. While the Insurrection Act hasn't been invoked, the use of Title X authority to bypass state leadership sets a precedent that could be used again, especially in a future crisis. Second, the speed and scale of the response show how fast civil unrest can trigger federal action. One weekend of protests and violence led to a huge troop deployment across one of the country's largest cities. That kind of escalation can disrupt transport, local services, and even access to supplies. Third, this is another reminder of how volatile immigration enforcement has become. Whether you agree with the policies or not, large-scale raids and visible force are likely to provoke backlash, and that backlash can spill into neighborhoods fast. For anyone living in or near major cities, this is a clear signal. You might not have much warning before the streets shut down, the protests begin, or the military shows up. And when they do, you won't get to vote on who's in charge. For people in Los Angeles, the effects are immediate. Roads have been blocked. Fires and vandalism have damaged property. Several areas were shut down over the weekend, and there's still a strong law enforcement presence in key locations. National Guard troops have been stationed around federal buildings, but their presence affects more than just those sites. Traffic patterns are disrupted. Local police are stretched thin. Tensions are high. Even outside the protest zones, the atmosphere has changed. Businesses are boarding up. Some are closing early or not opening at all. Supply deliveries have been delayed, especially in downtown areas. It doesn't take a full breakdown of society to feel the impact, just enough disruption to throw things off balance. And that's what makes this relevant to preppers. If this kind of event happens in your area, are you ready to stay home for a few days? Do you have food, water, and supplies to ride it out? Can you avoid the chaos without needing to go out? It's not always about a total collapse. Sometimes it's just a city locking down for a weekend, and that can be enough to cause serious problems if you're not prepared. This story isn't over. The National Guard deployment could expand if unrest continues. The president has already authorized up to 2,000 troops. If things escalate, more cities could see similar action. Preppers should watch for signs of spreading protests, especially if additional ICE raids are planned elsewhere. Also keep an eye on legal challenges. The governor and attorney general of California have already filed a lawsuit against Trump. If courts push back against federal authority, it could trigger a deeper standoff between state and federal officials. And most importantly, use this as a reminder. Urban areas can become unstable fast. Protests, politics, and policy decisions can collide overnight. When they do, access to food, fuel, and safety can vanish just as quickly. If you live in a city, consider what it would take to bug in for a few days without leaving home. If you're outside urban centers, think about how disruptions in major cities could ripple out to your supply chains or travel routes. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe to stay informed. For more in-depth analysis and prepping strategies, visit our website, link in the description. Thanks for watching Preppers News. Stay safe, stay prepared.